The next part of your paper that you're going to be working with is going to be the body sections of your paper. This is the part of the paper that is going to be the biggest chunk of your writing and make for the biggest length. This is where your research comes in, and you're going to have 3 areas that are related in some way to your product. It doesn't have to be research on your product. It has to be research related in some fashion. So for example, if you are doing an engine, your research might be on engine types, it might be on the history of motors, it might be on fuel. It just depends on what the actual product is. For the research paper parts, the body section is going to be divided by these headings. The first part here is the intro paragraph I did with you earlier. This part is the start of the body sections. Each body section is going to have its own heading. The heading is centered, it's capitalized like a title, and it's put in bold-face type. It makes it stand out from the rest of the paper that way. The first paragraph and the first section matches up with the first area I talked about in my thesis statement. I said I was going to talk about poverty. This is the economic problems and poverty. When I finish this section, which is one large paragraph, remember your paragraph should be 5 to 7 sentences each. Then comes the second section. The second section again has a bold font. It is centered and it's capitalized like a title would be capitalized. This section then continues through on the environmental impacts. And I do want to point some things out to you. When we get to where you're placing your graphics, remember your pictures and charts or whatever it is you're using for a graphic must be referred to in the body of the paper. When I'm talking here about also equipment such as a jig and trommel plant is needed, and then I have C figure 1, that is going to be referring to my picture in the body of the paper. Then when you go to the end of my paper, you'll see picture 1 or figure 1, which is going to be a picture of a jig and trommel plant. So it has to be related to what you're talking about. Also, you need to be aware of putting in your citations. Every piece of information that you get from a source must be cited in your paper, whether you put it in your own words or not. You have to give credit for those ideas. So every time you're putting information in, you should have an in-text citation. You don't have to put it after every sentence as long as all those sentences come from the same source. So for example, these first few sentences all came from the same source, so my citation comes at the end of that. The third section then is starting here, again with the bold-faced font and the centering and the capitalization for a title. And again, if you'll take note, there are in-text citations throughout this. That is one thing to keep in mind, that you do need to do those in-text citations in the body sections of your paper. This will end then, and the next part will be the conclusion of the paper. So each one of these sections, as you see them here, as I'm scrolling through them, are the 3 body sections that I talked about in my thesis statement. The thesis statement being the diamond industry is the source of poverty, environmental issues, and violence in the countries that operate mines. The body sections are the big part of your paper. This is where all the research comes into place.